A lot of new guys, on the Marlins right now. And there is one person in particular that can help us understand the vibes of the new guys. That guy is Stephen Strom, and he is with Locked On Marlins today. Tons to get into. It's going to be a fun one.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Greetings from England and welcome to Locked On Marlins, your daily Marlins pod. I'm your host, Peter Pratt. Hit me up, of course, at Miami Marlins _UK. Thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. There's a YouTube channel as well. Hit subscribe over on the YouTube channel. It's also called Locked On Marlins. Let me know in the comments. Particularly, I want to know from your perspective, who's your favorite new guy and who has the highest vibes? Let me know that one. Delighted to welcome onto the show. I want to say second appearance, could be third, but I'm going to go second appearance, at least second appearance. Yeah, two-time. Stephen Strom in the house. Stephen, how are we doing?
Pete, pleasure as always. Second time around on the podcast. Always exciting and very much excited to get into the topic today. But first of all, I know your show is coming to an end. You've done an incredible job. And, you will be very missed. And that's why I saw it. And I said, you know what? Pete didn't ask me to come on. I asked to come on. And Pete let me on, and we appreciate that.
Love you. And I appreciate that. Secondly, and what I have to say is those that are listening to the podcast version now, hit pause. Go to the YouTube version and check out Stephen Strom's shirt. He is looking absolutely en fuego. Oh, my days. Unbelievable. This is Friday vibes.
This isn't even in Miami. I'm more of this in DC. I tried to bring the 305 vibes. You know what I'm saying?
DC vibes. This is incredible. I mean, if this is what goes on in like Skip Schumacher pre-game conversations, then see, this is it. You don't see. All you see is the Marlins radio mic in the cat. You don't see the man. What? They're missing a trick here. Someone is missing a trick.
Yeah. I will tell you that Kyle has done a nice job this year as he just walked in. He's put me on the big board at Lone Depot Park now with these shirts. So I've gotten some compliments. So we're moving and shaking here, Pete.
I love it. Love it. Awesome. So just give us a sense. We're recording here for, those that are listening in. We're recording here. It's Friday the 13th, firstly. Stephen Strom joining us directly from Washington, D.C. at this point. Yes, an hour and a half just before game 2 is about to commence. Describe the vibes at this point. Mid-September, Marlins on the road in Washington. Like, what's the vibes like at this point?
Well, Pete, there's 15 games left, right? And obviously the record isn't what anyone really wanted this season, but there's a ton to play for. And there's a ton of guys playing for a potential job in 2025. I think the vibes right now are for people like Jake Berger, instill a culture, make sure that the values are not only here for the last 15, but also for next year. And they're still trying to figure out each position. But I think the goal and the vibe right now, these guys are fighting every single night. You look at the Pittsburgh series, they were swept, but all 3 games, 2 of them lost by 2, 1 by 1, a lot of self-inflicted errors, 3 errors in that series. And then you saw last night on Thursday night in DC, the Nats, they make 3 errors, and the Marlins take advantage of them. So I think to answer your question, the vibes are in a good place. They want to play spoiler, and, they're just trying to really get to know each other. And I think Jake Berger, Jesus Luzardo, Sandy, who has traveled all year long, by the way, Tommy John, every single trip he has been on, he continues to be a leader in the clubhouse and instill those values.
How's he been, Sandy, as well? Like, because I know that was the suggestion before the year, right? And obviously Sandy's hoping the year was more akin to 23. We then get a 2024 version, the opposite of 23. Sandy stuck it out, though. He looks like a caged animal at this point, to be honest with you. He's like ready to rock and roll. I think Sandy can start games now if needed. I think Sandy would be out there. So how's Sandy been this year? I mean, you get to see him up close and personal. He's traveling with the team every road series. Like, the dude is just different.
He's a machine. Yeah.
Machine. There you go.
He's a machine. And I'll even go back to the off season. Kyle and I, we still do shows in the off season. We still go to Lone Depot Park. I live about 2 minutes away. And every single time that we went into Lone Depot Park and we went to the clubhouse, the only one that was there, Sandy Alcantara, continued to work. He comes out in his, he's got a ripped tank top, make you feel real insecure, and come out with his short shorts, calves Quad. I mean, let me tell you something. He is a monster. And I think right now this season, he's really grown as a leader. He's trying to be that guy for guys like Valente Belloso, Edward Cabrera. He continues to mentor. But his leadership skills, I think, have really taken a next step. And as far as him on the mound, Peter, I mean, he just completed, I think, bullpen number 12 or 13. I've kind of covered that this season. He's throwing his sliders. I think he threw a 45-pitch bullpen. Kyle and I have the discussion. If the Marlins were in contention, could we have seen Sandy out of the bullpen? I don't know. I think there could be a lot of steam to that, but that is no longer the case, of course. But his season is going well, and
oh baby, plug me in straight away. No doubt. I mean, that could be. I mean, I know it's tough on opening day because, you know, everyone's got their ace out there, right? But I mean, man, oh man, Sandy Skeens. I mean, this is national primetime vibes. I'm not going to lie. Like, that's the vibes I'm getting with this one, whether it makes them, because everyone's got their ace on. But I mean, would it shock you if that was like, a big time national broadcast?
I don't know, to be honest with you. And I'll tell you that, the Pirates, for as much as Paul Skeens has been great, the team has been so disappointing. So I think it's both teams coming into next year. I think, the Pirates have dudes. I mean, they've got O'Neal Cruz. They've got different, Key Brian Hayes, of course, is out right now. But, both teams, I think, are looking to bounce back in 25. And I don't think a ton of national media are going to give any love. But, even with the Marlins, dude, we were talking to Jake Berger today. I know the record is where they had either 55 and 92. But the injuries that they have went through, you talk about next year with Sandy, a full season with Zeus, a full season with Braxton Garrett, Ryan Weathers, and then, Yuri Perez, he's coming back for the middle of the season. Dude, you got 5 starters there, plus Edward Cabrera, Max Meyer, I didn't even mention.
Yeah. They
pitch well and you stay in games. Who knows what happens? But we saw this year in particular, if you can't stay healthy, it can go downhill pretty quickly.
Oh boy, it really went downhill quickly. I mean, boy, oh boy, that first 10 days. I mean, that was a tough one. But yeah, let's, it's in the past. It's gone. It's Kaiser Soze. Talk to me about the bullpen, and talk to me about when you look back at 2024.
Sure.
Who's your favorite reliever? I mean, it is going to be there is going to be so many trivia questions about the Marlins bullpen in 2024 because it's been high turnover, let's phrase it. When you look back, who's your favorite reliever 24?
I think the recency bias would be a guy in Jesus Tinoco, but yeah. I would tell you my favorite reliever to watch this year has been the development of Calvin Fauché, someone that the Marlins traded for in the offseason. I'm pretty sure he was in the package with Vidal Brujan. Calvin Fauché went from being like, who are you? What is he going to look like in the bullpen this year? To this dude might be the closer next year in 2025. He has seamlessly fit into Tanner Scott's role, which is not easy. We know how good Tanner Scott was. Calvin Fauché, who started on the IL, worked his way back and really came on the scene and just continued to earn Skip's trust. He's got, I think he's got, if you're into the Fangraphs plus stuff kind of thing, yeah, he's 1 or 2 up there. He's been incredible. He's got to be my favorite reliever of 2024.
Great call, by the way. And the funny thing is, on the development curve of Calvin Fauché, I mean, they make the move. I'm like, okay, this is like a Bendix extravaganza. I mean, a Rays reliever. Great. Sure. But you're in the curve of how the hell do you pronounce this guy's name? What is it with the Marlins finding guys that you can't pronounce? I need more Steve Joneses. Help me out here, guys. Constantly, they give me these guys, and I don't know how to pronounce anyone's name. Fauché, you don't read Fauché and say Fauché. You maybe say something else. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes. It's funny. Skip had just mentioned last week. He goes, give the front office credit. They have done everything that they can to allow us to compete and try to win every single day. I mean, again, and I don't want to keep going to the record is what the record is, But some of Peter Bendick's moves this year have been tremendous. Like, first of all, Calvin Fauché has been awesome for this team. A guy like Otto Lopez, he's been up and down, but he's starting to come around. He's just had a 6-game hitting streak. That was a guy off the waiver wire. Jesus Tinoco, waiver wire. I mean, there's guys in this lineup that, Jonah Bride they traded for in the offseason from Oakland. Nobody wanted Jonah Bride. The Marlins took on Bride. Look at him now. He's batting cleanup. And let me tell you something about Bride. If you ask me who the biggest surprise Marlins, it's Jonah Bride. It's a competitive at bat every single time he comes into the box. He's shown he can hit for power. He's shown he can hit for average. He sprays the ball around the field. He's getting better defensively. Again, the record is what the record is, but there is no question that Peter Bendix and his team has the ability to find talent and implement them, and it fitting in seamlessly.
Right. So who's been the biggest? Hold on a minute. Stephen Strom's got the full. He's got the script here. He knows my questions.
Did I jump the gun? That's my bad, Pete. I'm
always smokes, mate. You know how robotic this show is. It's scripted, of course. I'm only kidding. Jonah Bride, though, definitely is a standout. I mean, there's so many guys that, when we reflect back on this year, it's going to be, I was saying on a previous episode, they're going to have a Marlins 2024 Guess Who version of that game, where you flip the cards up and down. There's been so many players, but before we got rolling with this one, you mentioned, you're up pre-game with Skip. Talk to you about Skip this year, because listen, this isn't the year that Skip wanted either, but for me, 2023 was easy to manage because they were rolling. Yeah. Mender was amazing. Come from behind, 1-run dubs, you name it. That was easy. It was fun.
Yeah.
24, different challenge. But boy, oh boy, I must say, from multiple thousand miles away, Skip for me has had a better year in 24 than 23. So what you're closer to it. What's your take on Skip this year?
Skip this year, I think, has grown exponentially as a manager in the value of coaching and developing. And he's always said that he's here to teach, he's here to develop, but there's only so much more developing a guy like Jorge Soler can have. And Luis Arraez, maybe more defensively with him. There was an interesting roster last year that really caught lightning in a bottle. They had Arraez, who hit 356 and won the batting title. All the starting staff, besides Sandy towards the end of the year, were healthy. Bullpen, same thing. So I don't want to say Skip won manager of the year last year. I wouldn't say it was easy. I think he had to make difficult decisions at time. It was his first year, but this year I think he's grown a lot, and I think he'll admit to that he had never experienced anything like this. I mean, this is 70 players used by the Marlins in 2024. It's crazy, but I think how he's handled it is as professional as you would think, man. He's a special dude. He really is. He's a great manager. More importantly, he's a great man. There hasn't been one game this year that you felt like they mailed in or, it's a getaway day. They're about to get swept. And sometimes that happens. The effort is always there. The preparation is always there. And you notice he always talks about those are the two things that you can control. And the coaching staff has done that. Jody Reed, Jason Hart, Mabry, Bill Miller. I mean, this staff continued to work. It didn't matter the day. It didn't matter the record. It didn't matter the adversity. It didn't matter who was coming in out of that door. I can't say enough about the coaching staff and their attention to detail still on September 13th. They come in every single day, expect to win. It doesn't matter the opponent. It doesn't matter who's starting.
No doubt. I love that. That's what it feels like. From afar, that's what it feels like. And fans buy into that a lot. There's no lull moments. And Skip, I absolutely love him. And I think he's been awesome for the Marlins. I think this is probably likely to be, his last season, let's say. But nevertheless, he should be ultra proud of what he's achieved in Miami. And, let's see.
I want to piggyback on what you said real quick, because I actually agree with you as far as this year being almost more impressive than last year based on just the turnover. He's got to look at 3 or 4 guys in his bullpen that he's never seen before and then try to manage that game. And who am I going to put in 7, 8, 9? I mean, that's not easy to do. I don't care what analytics, what you can look at. That's not easy to do, to have a feel like that. Even last night, there was a situation where he pinch hit for an individual and it works out. It's just, yes, I just wanted to pick because I agree. I think this year is almost more impressive based on, what he's had to kind of manage.
Super tough question to answer because I know that you watched every single game. And so this is going to be tough for you to answer.
All right.
Favorite moment, like when you look back on 24, your favorite moment, standout moment, something that's happened in 24 that you'll look back on and go, that was the one. Or maybe a couple, but some like moments that like you'll connect with 24 in the future.
Xavier Edwards cycle in Milwaukee. That was really cool. It was cool for, a myriad of reasons. Number one, the trade deadline had just happened, and there was all of this turnover. And then finally they were able to settle in. I think they were honoring Ryan Braun. So the ceremony went over. The first pitch was a little bit delayed. And the first pitch of the game, Xavier Edwards goes yard. And then it turns into this historic night. Second Marlin ever to do it. That was awesome to be with Kyle and Kelly in Milwaukee. Yeah. I would say the Edwin Diaz 5-run in the 9th, Josh Bell ties it up, and the Marlins come back to beat the Mets. Sticking on Bell and in Milwaukee, covering Bell's, was it his 1,000th hit? I think it was his 1,000th hit, Kyle? That home run that he hit in Milwaukee? I think it was. He's
giving it a thumbs up.
Yeah, his 1,000 hit in Milwaukee was pretty cool. Look, man, there's been moments. Heck, man, Adam Oller going toe-to-toe with Blake Snell in San Francisco on a Friday night. That was sweet, So it's the beauty of baseball. I love it, man. And there's been a ton of, honestly, moments throughout the wins and losses that, this is pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, no doubt. You've got a little bit, you've got up close and personal, let's say, with some of the new dudes as well. And, it's going to take time for the Marlins fan base to kind of, get to meet these guys. We see stuff on the field, but, you get to see, speak to them, outside of that. Obviously, Stowers straight up, like trade deadline, Stowers, he's straight up. Norby's then arrived. He's on fire, which is amazing to see. And the Marlins fan base is going absolutely bananas about Connor Norby. Great to see. But there's been a multitude of dudes on the pitching side for obvious reasons, and we've spoke about. But what can you give us a sense, like for the new group of guys, particularly Stowers, Norby? Like, what have you made of these guys, and the early impressions you got of these guys specifically?
Let me start with Norby. There's a different sort of edge that he brings to the clubhouse. You'll hear that from all of us. He came in here. He got sent to AAA. I know he didn't like that. Me and Kyle actually talked to him as soon as he got to the Jumbo Shrimp. He wasn't happy he was there. He played his couple of games, maybe a week and a half. They wanted him to play third base. He came up here, and he has been as advertised. He is a gamer. Skip always says he always uses he's a baseball player. Connor Norby is a baseball player. He's gotten really good defensively at third base. The power has been really surprising. I knew he could hit. I don't know if we all knew he could have, 14 extra base hits in his first 15. He's been incredible, but the leadership is what sticks out to me. He's a culture carrier. Him and Berger are culture carriers. Kyle Stowers, I want to see him have a full season, right? We saw the preview in Colorado and San Francisco. He dominated. He was the best player on the field for that week, and now he's going through it a little bit, but he's getting opportunities, Pete. He's out there against lefties. He's out there against Mitchell Parker. He's getting opportunities. The front office wants to see him at center field. He's talented. He's got a really good chance to be another big piece to the future here. Yeah. I'm trying to think of anyone else that, we hit on Jonah Bryce or anyone else that.
Talk to me about Griffin Conine's finally made his way up, and big story. Like, I think back in 2024, the Griffin Conine, that segue in September, I think will be one of the storylines.
Yeah, the Griffin acts like he's been here before. He looks the part on the field. I don't think there's any question about the power. I think the question mark is the strikeouts, right? He has struggled with that. He cut it down in the minors. There's no question he can hit. And let me tell you something. He made a throw last week at Lone Depot Park that shouldn't have been close. He might have caught this thing at the warning track. Mm-hmm. He threw a freaking bullet to the home plate, and he's a really underrated fielder. Good feel for the game. Another baseball player, right?
Okay.
Not sure what the future looks like for him, but he's up here. He's starting again. He'll play right field tonight. Batting 267. Want to see a little bit more power. 15 games left. Want to see 2 or 3 home runs from Griff. That would be nice.
Me too. One final one-ish. We'll see how we go for time. I know we're on a tight schedule here, but I did want to ask you, go back to Kyle Stowers, actually. It's been a topic. There's a question that's unanswered, and I'll tell you why it's a question that's in my mind. When I saw Kyle Stowers for the first ever time, I looked at him and thought, man, I'd probably had a few glasses of wine when I first saw him. So I was kind of looking through that hazy lens, right? And I thought, looks like Jock Peterson. I kind of getting Jock Peterson vibes, like, ish. And then, of course, like Jock Peterson, like, it's either pearls or wine. When I think back to that Braves run, like he's wearing the pearls, but when they finally, get it all, he's strolling around like holding wine, spilling wine. Everyone's thinking, I love Jock Peterson. So the unanswered question at this point is, does Kyle Stowers like red wine? Stephen Strom, that is your objective in the next 2 weeks. This is the question that needs to be answered. Is Kyle Stowers, is he a wine drinker, and specifically a red wine drinker? I need that to be the case.
All right.
And I'll leave that one with you to see if you can get into the bottom of that.
I did. I never even thought about asking him if he likes red or white or even wine in general. He loves his dog. His dog and his wife travels with us. But I will ask him about the red or white wine, and I'll say Pete wanted to know. You got it. Absolutely. I'm seeing that image, just like strolling around the outfield. World Series 2028, whatever year it might be. Stowers strolling around, spilling wine everywhere. That's what I need to see. I'm all in on that.
All right, we're bang out of time. You've got a proper job to do, rather than come and spitting on with me. Stephen Strom, thank you for reaching out and putting forward to come on the show. And I appreciate absolutely everything you do. You, Kyle, the rest of the guys, you absolutely kill it on Marlins Radio. And we need you. And you guys always deliver. So I really appreciate you.
You are far too kind. We appreciate you. Your farewell. I'll be listening. Great job with the entire Locked On podcast. I appreciate you having me on, man. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. Enjoy today. Guys, thanks for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. That's Stephen Strom and me, Peter Pratt, signing out. Back tomorrow. Alex Carver on the show tomorrow. So look forward to that one, and we'll see you then.